Alrighty, good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started, even though we're low in number. I do want to thank you all for joining class this evening. I know today has been crazy, especially with the weather and tornado watches and actual tornadoes hitting the ground, not far from where we all are in the DMV area. So again, thank you for that. What I would like to do is just first put out some friendly reminders of the importance of reviewing your materials. So it's very important that you get familiar with Blackboard. It's very important that you, if you have not done so already, update your email so that you're receiving the proper notifications. That will allow you to be able to get the alerts that go out, if at all, announcements that go out, and it just kind of keeps that process seamless with communication. Also, it is important that you go ahead, if you have not already, review the syllabus for the course. Go ahead and read through that. Be sure to submit the syllabus agreement as well as the emergency contact form. There will be times, occasion where we will meet in person, especially when we do certain trainings and we kind of lead ourselves into that, where we'll be in the theater space and things of that nature. So it's very important that we have that emergency contact information, just in case something happens, God forbid, we want to be able to contact the right persons. Okay. Any questions so far about that? No? Okay. So just be sure that with that, you email me. You email me that information. Okay. In Blackboard, I believe, or even on the syllabus, you will see both of my email addresses, one for Howard and my Gmail. I ask that you use both of them. Sometimes, as you all know, our Howard emails could be buffering, could be doing any sorts of things. Sometimes we don't have access to Bison. So utilizing both emails to communicate is best. So again, that is something that you want to do before you close your eyes and go to bed tonight. I really, really request that you go over the syllabus and that you submit the syllabus agreement as well as the emergency contact forms to my emails, okay? Thank you, Ms. Moore. I'm glad you got my email. Thanks for joining us. I will also email you information because I know right now you don't have access to Blackboard. So I'll be sure to email you the information that is in Blackboard, okay? I want you to pay close attention to the course schedule. Again, when you go into Blackboard, you'll see on the tab course information, you'll be able to go into the folder that says syllabus and course schedule. And there you will see, obviously, the course schedule. And with that, you'll be able to look at just what is happening week by week, what we'll be discussing, what we'll be reviewing and learning, as well as any assignments that either open and or are due. So for an example, this week, your assignment for marketing is due on Saturday. Okay. And so that's how that will work. There are two sections of this class. There's one that meets Monday and Wednesday, and there's another that meets Wednesday and Friday. So our typical, whether we meet synchronously or asynchronously in person, we will stick to Wednesdays. So that means if you have this class on Monday is your lab time. That's your time to work asynchronously. That's your time to go ahead and start reviewing the assignments that are listed and posted for you to begin working. If you meet Wednesday, Friday is your lab time, meaning you use that class for your group meetings, you use that class to connect and begin your work. And so hopefully you all will go ahead and do that so that you can enjoy your holiday weekend. Okay. Are there any questions about that information, about what I've said so far? Everybody good and clear? Okay, good. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, great. So what I'd like to do is go over how many of you all have been able to look in your content section and kind of see what's been in the weeks 1 and 2 with materials? Did anybody see the PowerPoint that's there? Yeah, okay.
Cool. I didn't see it yet.
You didn't see it yet? Okay, no problem. What we'll do is we'll go through it and we'll go over and kind of discuss some more about it. Give me a second. I'm going to share my screen while we do this as well. Okay. Go ahead and share while it's opening up. Okay. Even though I selected as invalid, but you're giving me as an option. Okay, let's try one more time. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so hopefully you all can see this PowerPoint, and we'll go ahead and go through this, and then I'll have a few final housekeeping notes at the end. We'll kind of talk about what the next 2 to 3 weeks will look like for us as a class. Okay, so when you think of the word marketing, what do you think about? Anybody can unmute or put it in the chat, whatever.
Think about like budgeting or like planning and organizing. That's what I think about marketing.
Okay, yeah, very good. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. All right. So when we discuss marketing, especially for the arts, even in film, you're thinking about sales, earned income, promotions, advertising, media, public relations. All of these involve the things that Joseph was just talking about: planning, organizing, time management, and budgeting. Okay. Marketing generally applies to every area of the arts that has to do with the things we just talked about, including sales and earned income, and building relationships between the institution, ticket sales, and both real and potential customers. Okay. I'll talk a little bit about branding and positioning. Okay. Words we've probably heard of, maybe have even used interchangeably, but realizing now that they do mean 2 slightly different things. So the examples I have listed or bullet points that I have listed here, we'll talk a little bit about in regards to just a traditional department, so to speak. Okay. Branding has to do with the external perception, in this case of a department or Howard University, while positioning has to do with the way in which you or the way in which the institution or the department kind of resides or rests in the mind of the consumer. Okay, meaning the end user, consumer meaning the end user. So while branding will ask who or what we are as an institution or organization, the positioning will ask how distinct we are. So yes, we're university, we're a college, we're a department, but how distinct are you compared to your competitors, maybe local institutions or even national institutions? Branding would ask, what is it that you do? While positioning will question how attractive what you do is to that consumer. Okay. Branding will question the quality that's provided. Okay, while positioning will question whether or not that quality or whatever's being provided, that service, is instantly recognizable. All right. Branding will consist of the reputation. What type of reputation does Howard University have? What type of reputation does your department or school or college have? Positioning focuses more on whether or not that institution is even credible. Okay. So branding and positioning. Branding, again, the external perception, while positioning has to do with your personal experience and connection to how you feel about it or feel about that institutional organization, which rests in your mind. Okay. Any questions about branding and positioning? No, everybody good? Any comments? Okay, good. All right. I'll give you 30 seconds. I want you to pick out 1 to 2 logos that either first came to you or stood out to you. Okay, let's see. Asiani? Or is it Siana? How do you pronounce your name?
Tiana.
Yana, okay.
Walmart and Mobile.
Okay, and why?
Just how large the font is probably is what made my eyes go to it.
Okay, okay. All right, Joseph, what about you?
I would say Apple and Gucci.
Okay, and why?
Now, okay, so you say why they stand out to me?
Mhm.
It's because they have, well, they're, oh, how can I say this? Their advertisements are
Mhm.
like, are like, how can I say this? I forgot the word for it, but they're always getting media attention,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and their marketing is like a workhorse.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Peyton.
For me, it was Red Lobster and Mercedes Benz, just because my eyes just went to the middle of the page, and those are the first two I noticed in the middle. So,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. Good, good, good. And listen, this whole fun little exercise is just for that. It's just to remind you of how important a logo is when it comes to marketing. A logo is extremely important. In some cases, people will say it can make or break the business. Talking about that positioning, you see that logo, instantly you are reminded of either how you want to be a patron or consumer, or how you currently are a loyal patron or consumer. In some cases, it may be a terrible experience. Okay, unfortunately, those are the things that rest on us. And a logo does all of that just by looking at it, whether it's the size, whether it's the color, whether it's the shape. And again, all of those things go back to its brand and its positioning. Okay. All right. Here are some additional logos and or just images of the arts of other colleges that have other theater arts institutions. So, and just places and spaces. So these are colleges and or spaces. All right, you got Arena Stage, National, Warner, Kennedy Center, which has expanded itself to that reach, which is outdoor space. And then other institutions like GW or Georgetown or Catholic or American, even UDC, offers some sort of artistic component and realm. So not only is it good to know about your institution and your brand, it's very good to know about the things that are near and around you, whether it's for partnership and or whether you're looking at it from the competitive standpoint. How can you be the trendsetter, right? You have to know what the other entities are doing around you. All right, let's talk a little bit about targeting. Targeting has to do with directing specific marketing to specific customers, okay? Specific marketing to specific customers. This is a little bit different than segmenting, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But an example of targeting would be, say there's an ad that is specifically for males. Okay, it may just be males all around. That would be your target group, men, males. Okay, now, and we'll talk a little bit more, like I said, about the difference between targeting and segmenting. So packaging, I know when you first think about packaging, think about the actual box. Well, not necessarily in this case for the arts. We're talking about how you put it together and present it as a package. So this has to do with the positioning of product or service, has to do with consumer promise. It has to do with how you present the opportunities. The opportunities could be that you purchase within a certain range, and you're offered X number of tickets to show seasons. It may be that you hit another tier level. It may be, tier 3, and that additional things may be, for instance, you may have a director or producer, an executive producer line. You hit that tier 3 line, as opposed to just getting tickets to the show. You may have access to the cast members. You may be invited to an early fitting or dress rehearsal, or be able to converse with one of the designers. So there are different ways to present the opportunities and how you bring in those funds. And that all involves the marketing. Dressing it up is the actual putting it together and putting that bow on it. Okay. It may be the way in which the invitations are done so that they are an actual keepsake. Okay. So things of that nature has to do with the packaging, and that has to do with the marketing. All of that ties into itself. Similar to how when you're dealing with an event, so to speak, And when you're dealing with that event, that the invitations, for an example, may be themed or represent the theme of the larger fundraising gala, for an example. Okay, so those are ways in which you dress it up. Packaging. Segmenting. Now, again, we talked about targeting. Segmenting has to deal with the actual messaging by the audience. It's the target consumer demographics. Okay, specific market segment opportunities, distribution strategies for those markets or segments, and even third-party partner roles in distribution to vertical markets. For an example of segmenting versus targeting, and we talked about targeting being a product in particular in which we're going to target males. Well, segmenting breaks it down even further, and that could be a product that may be okay for shaving, for an example. We're going to stick to the male population. Now, we're not going to target that to individuals or children because they're not in that phase yet, right? So this particular product would be segmented, the messaging would be segmented so that those particular males that you're interested in, maybe it's 16 through 35, maybe it's 16 through 60, that are shaving still, and maybe it's a particular blade that you're introducing, maybe it's a particular cream for afterwards to reduce bumps or what have you. That's the way in which you would do the same thing. Now, from the arts, it's no different. That's why in some cases, especially for movies and theater items, they will have various trailers. Okay, they may have a shorter one, maybe even a longer one, and they're different scenes that in hopes will attract different people. All right, you may see one trailer and go, then you see another one and go, okay, I might go ahead and purchase it. I might go ahead and support it. And so those are the things about the segmenting, going from the larger group to specific audience and consumer demographics. Any questions so far? Okay. So other things to consider with marketing are promotions and fulfillment. Promotions that regarding product packaging, the what is being packaged, the how much does it cost, the look of it, and the strategy in which we will get it to that audience. Fulfillment being the actual execution of the order or the product that's happening, the team that's needed to execute it, the cost and the timing of it. And that could be from posters being put up. That could be from additional advertising and promotions taking place. Promotions can be the buy one, get one. Promotions can be buy one, share one. Sometimes you'll purchase something and then they'll give you the opportunity to share that code or link for that person to have a discount and for you to have credit towards a future purchase. Those are things you have to think about even within the arts, okay, and entertainment. All right. Additional promotions, clever ways to grab the public's attention, right? Ways you have to think about that is through your promotional budget. What are the numbers? What is that? Is it $10,000 that you have for this project in regards to marketing? And then if so, how are you breaking that down? Does that require you to hire additional personnel? If you're the director of marketing and maybe you only have one other assistant, do you need additional personnel? Do you need to outsource that? Okay, how much of that marketing is going towards digital ads? Okay, how much of that is going to, even within digital, how much of that is breaking down? How much of that is going to mainstream media? How much of that is going to be on the radio? All of those numbers have to be broken down. And then you have the supply backup material with detailed budget information for review. It's very important that you do that because you do the breakdown number and then people go, okay, but what exactly and why exactly is this $500 and what is this organization that it's going to? So it's very important that you supply backup material. Promotions also deal with the actual launch plan, okay? When and if the product is being announced, what's the strategy to do that? What media outlets will be utilized? Media, even as simple as a press release, okay, being shared and sent out through an email blast, okay? And then the timing of it, and again, spending. What is it going to cost to launch the plan? Other things to think about are subscription marketing. Is it worth it? Is it relevant? Is it effective? Direct marketing, those targets, okay, those segmenting the goals and the budget. And then you have additional things like third-party marketing when you're dealing with co-marketing arrangements with another company. For an example, you could be doing an event and in your community, there may be a cupcake company. And together you all are putting on an event and or you're bringing them on to help and supply. So they're allowing you a discount because they too get to promote and advertise their business. All right, maybe it's the grab bag of maybe 2 cupcakes. And in that, they've been able to drop their card and people enjoy the goodies and could possibly use them for a future event. So those are things that happen when you co-market with different things like that. And then obviously other marketing programs could be additional promotional programs. It could be something specific. For an example, when they, especially with films, in some cases, they like to do pre-screenings at colleges and universities. That helps get the word out and get the buzz out for folks in their family to want to go to the theater and see it, okay? Oh, and the same can be said for even traditional theater. You can collaborate with a school, like for instance, we have the Howard University Middle School, okay, on our campus. You could collaborate with those students and you get them involved with coming to opening night. So you've been there to teach them about all the things that are happening with the show. And now you invite them to opening night or one of the dress rehearsals or previews. And then I've been able to tie the information you've been teaching them and displaying to them and sharing with them in class to the actual finished product. So there are ways in which those marketing programs help to expand community outreach and engagement. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. Advertising, actual paid announcements. Some of the ways that we're talking about are through direct mail, through email, which a lot of folk use very much more so of, especially with email blasts, be it through, it could be through, for instance, we used to deal with a company called Bendini. They've been now purchased by Audience View. And so in addition to selling tickets, you can also do email blasts, all right? You can also just do a traditional listserv. You have television and commercial ads. Websites, obviously, is very, very good, making sure that your information is up to date. Radio ads are still good, especially with XM radio. I know some folk have moved from traditional radio, but we still have some very strong listeners in that realm. And then you have XM radio as well. And then you have online, just online with ticketing. Online could also be through additional ads like social media and or other platforms like YouTube. So there are plenty of ways in which you can do advertising. All right. Public, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do production companies promote advertisements through television?
Some do, especially the Kennedy Center. They're really good with that. When they're bringing in a new musical, you're prone to find a commercial about that new musical coming in, and they're advertising that new director or they're advertising the new show. They also do that with their symphony. You will see a commercial.
Okay, I was gonna say because like it's a I think it's a production company. I think it's called Grant Wilfley Casting in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard of them.
No, I haven't.
They're the people that shoot Power.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm guessing like when they put commercials out for like their TV shows, that's their advertisement, their production company.
It could be, or they could have outsourced just for advertising. Okay. So it could be their production company. In most cases it is, but in some cases folk allow for a third party to partner with them and solely focus on marketing and ads. So it's just going to depend on the company and who they have in-house. But even when you do that, even more so ensuring that that new contractor, that vendor understands your brand so that they're putting out very seamless as if they are a part of you. And that's the great thing about outsourcing and connecting to the right partner organization is making sure that they understand you and your brand and the way in which you want to communicate. Okay, so if you're very artsy and fun, you don't want someone coming in and sending out a very corporate-like communication, and vice versa. This is a 501c3, and this dealing with maybe animal protection or awareness, or maybe it's dealing with homeless care. and then you want to bring in an arts component, your communication structure still may be very much corporate-like, and even down to the colors that you put on your letterhead. So all of that plays a part. Okay, all right. So we were talking or shifting into publicity and media relations, which we oftentimes refer to as PR, public relations. And it's very important. This is a very important aspect of marketing. Building relationships and networking are very important to marketing. That's from partner and peer institutions, as well as to customers and consumers, okay? You also have to continue to create opportunities and additional partnerships, all right? Community, especially with community engagement. PR also deals with proper representation, especially if there's a spokesperson. You want that person to, every time they get to a mic or is quoted, that they are speaking for the institution and not their personal selves, but that their personal selves at all times represents the institutions that they are representing. Oftentimes when not, you will see how an organization will say on the lines of, the thoughts of this person does not represent the institution, and they will, firmly stand against what has been stated or misquoted or etc. So it's very important that your representatives are clear in that. Okay. All right. Other things to think about with PR are communications. All right. And then press. Okay. And press on both ends, not just the wonderful things that you're doing, but God forbid something happens in a negative light, being able to flip it. Okay, so that you are, cleaning it up, owning it, but cleaning it up and being true to your community about how you are cleaning that mess up, how you are rectifying it so that it never happens again. So the honest things you have to do with PR. It's not just the glitz and glam. Sometimes it is the ugliness that you have to, again, own and address. All right, another component I want to talk to you about marketing has to not only deal with customer service, but experience engineering. Experience engineering, okay? This goes beyond customer service. Customer service is what exactly the institution or the retailer or the production company, whatever, has to offer, while experience engineering has to do with taking it up to the next level. So for an example, customer service would require that institution to ensure their customers and consumers are informed. Well, the experience engineering takes it a step further to ensure that you are receiving accurate communication, okay? It could be something as simple as, where's the restroom? And someone can just say, over there, versus saying, yes, please go down the hall, turn left down the staircase, and it'll be on your right-hand side. Those simple things make it, accurate and being correct. Customer service may deal with how a person purchases a ticket, and that could be the protocols of, this person comes into this line because box office is open between 6 and 9 p.m., something to that effect. We may have a credit card authorization form. Those may be the protocols. But ensuring that customers experience an efficient box office deals with the fact that we're engineering their experience. All right. And you can see from the left and right what that looks like. It means all the way down to closing. There may be rules, policies, and procedures and protocols as to how you may close your building for the day. And then you want to ensure that those policies and procedures are clear. Okay. Any questions about customer service versus experience engineering? No, you guys are good? All right. Pricing, nothing much to have to explain here. We obviously know that pricing needs to be clear. It needs to be competitive. And the way in which you market those prices have to be clear and competitive, as well as dealing with additional fundraising. Sometimes, especially in shows, you will see individuals that will do an open night. And they may, with that open night, increase ticket sales. And so if ticket sales are already at maybe $40, they may have opening night tickets at $75 or $100. And in the $75 tickets may include a nice gift bag, while the $100 tickets may also offer a meet and greet or a pre or closing reception. Okay, so those are ways in which you could fundraise to gain additional monies off the top of the actual ticket price. Okay. Pricing with your policies need to be relevant, clear, printed, and posted. Okay, this is what is really done in retail stores in particular, and as well as theaters. Your policy needs to be printed, especially with pricing. Okay, meaning maybe it's no refunds, or maybe it's no exchanges after 72 hours. Whatever the case may be, those instructions, that information needs to be clear, posted, and printed. All right, this is just a quick slide to remind you about the ways in which you need to be up to date on any sort of international marketing. So anything you may be doing internationally, please, please, please be assured that you address any distribution strategies that are needed for that area that you're in. Discuss any issues specific to the international distribution, but also keep in mind the pricing, how you may set your prices somewhere else, because our dollar is not everyone else's dollar. And then keep in mind any localization issues, okay, highlighting requirements for local product and variations, as well as pricing, what you're able to do with marketing in those particular areas, okay? And just keeping that in mind if you're doing an event internationally, and or you're looking for your product to be kind of, again, distributed there. Keep those laws, though, their local laws in mind. All right, something else to keep in mind with marketing is success metrics. All right, what does that look like? Is this, here's some examples that you're looking at it to be done within the first year goals, your additional year goals, all right? The first semester versus the second semester, all right? You want to look at those different success metrics, those benchmarks, so to speak, those pauses that you kind of happen. Another article refers to them as the milestones that take place. Okay, so that you can pause and evaluate what works and what doesn't work. You can measure the success and failure. You can measure the response and attendance. Okay, you can see what other requirements are needed for success, and you can have clear marks for evaluations, for continuous evaluations. Even when it comes back 100% all good, you're always looking at how to up the next level, how to increase your gain. Okay. Database management is very, very key within marketing. All right, whatever database management system you choose to use, or even if you are just starting out and you're using some of the things that are located in Microsoft or the Google Suites, okay, with your Excel sheets or your Excel, PowerPoint, whatever it is that you're using. Maybe it is even Canva. Canva has expanded very well to offer you additional ways in which you can track things, keep up with things, keep it very nice and fresh, as well as updating information. It's very, very key, especially with email addresses. People move to a new job or people get a new title, their email may change. And now all of a sudden, because you're not keeping up to date, you have lost that connection. All right. That is why even within fundraising and things of that nature, depending on the amount that the donor has given, that institution would do small things like say thank you, send them birthday cards, and even anniversary cards or gifts. Okay, within reason, but they will do those things to keep updated information on those individuals. Okay. Final slide, I believe, is other things to keep in mind with marketing. Organization, Joseph spoke about it at the top of class. Organization, files, right? And what do those files look like? What type of paper files do you need to keep and readily accessible, especially if an audit were to pop up? But what and when do you transition to digital files because of lack of space, of having just 14, 15 boxes of files with you? When can you discard of files? At what year can you discard? There's IRS has kind of like a standard of information. Some things can be discarded within 3 to 5 years. Other things, especially things that deal with numbers, is recommended 7 to 10. Okay, so they think about that. Date everything, right? We oftentimes have communications and we're not sure of the date. Sometimes even flyers and programs, they will say February 1st and you're like, but when, what year did this happen? That date all of a sudden turns it and transitions it into archived information. So you have to keep that in mind. Even if it's a sticky note, date it, because it reminds you when you jotted that note down. It reminds you of when you spoke to that person. It reminds you of when you completed something. So date everything. Follow up with written communication and documentation. Oftentimes in the creative space, we converse verbally. Even now over Zoom, we're just conversing and just chatting and talking, but who took notes? Who wrote down? Who took minutes? Okay. When you, especially pre-COVID, there was a lot of pop-in conversation. Someone would knock on your office and you would converse, and an hour later, you would have had a whole plan and routine kind of set up, but no one wrote it down. No one followed up and said, hi, just wanted to, end the day with this email with our brief conversation while waiting on the elevator of X, Y, and Z. So it's very important that you follow written communication. And that's even in life, especially when speaking to an instructor. They could offer you an extension. They can offer you follow up. You say, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me briefly and offering me this extension to complete this work. Being able to review my assignment early so that I'm prepared for the due date. You want to put those things in writing. It is important with marketing that communication isn't just accurate, but that it's appropriate. Communication needs to be appropriate. Okay, that's in just daily communication with verbal and written and things that are shared in emails. Not being too friendly. Someone can misread something and take it the wrong way, and now all of a sudden you're in Title IX. You're in Human Resources office. Someone took it as a joke, and someone took offense to it. But not only that, it's also about age appropriate. Okay, making sure that if you are advertising a particular production, that you're honest about its content. This production includes in language and or sexual components. It may be that it includes language or racial content. You want to be clear about it, especially if it's a new work that isn't so familiar. People will assume that they can bring their families to the function based off of a title, and it may be a play on words. Okay, or anything like that. So you want to ensure that the communication is not just accurate, that it's appropriate. Other is to plan ahead, which again, Joseph mentioned earlier about planning and the importance of planning. And that is true. Planning ahead is key. This is another final tip, is ethics. We oftentimes talk about what is legal and what is illegal, but just because it's legal doesn't mean it's ethical. Those are things you have to think about even within your marketing. Okay. And that is it. So that wraps up our conversation about marketing. Are there any other questions about what was discussed or comments about what was discussed in the PowerPoint at all? Everybody's good? Okay. So what I want to do is, like I said, circle back to some housekeeping notes. Reminder to complete your syllabus agreement and your emergency contact form. All right. I also want to pull out a calendar just so we can look at what the next week or so will look like. So again, Friday, if you have this class, use that time as your lab time. If you don't have class on Friday, between now and Saturday, your assignment is due. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to the discussions. So when you go into Blackboard, you'll go to discussions and you'll see this assignment here.
Oh, so we don't meet on Fridays.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope. So Friday will be your lab time. And same for this class. If you have the class on Monday, Wednesday, Monday is your lab time. So you want to use that time to begin prepping for the work that's here. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to see, Anna, I'm going to put this into the chat because I know you don't have access to, I wonder if it's going to come out properly. I know you don't have access to Blackboard. I'm going to put this in the chat so you can see it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I thought I was going to put it in the chat. Okay, maybe this works. Okay. I think this works. I'm going to hit enter and see what happens. Okay. Yes. All right. So this assignment is the marketing assignment, again, which is due on Saturday by end of day. And then you have until next Wednesday to respond to someone in your class. All right. Again, there are two sections, so you'll respond to just one other person. And if that person hasn't submitted or the other two haven't submitted and you can't respond, then you won't be penalized for it. All right. These are the following fall productions for the Department of Theater Arts. Now, actually, we'll leave it at this, but really some things have shifted for us, but we'll leave it with this assignment facetiously. Actually, our season has shifted. We're looking at the Lortel Project with the Cakewalk series. We're looking at Coming Home, which is a musical review, and we're looking at the dance concert showcase, but we'll keep these as examples. So now, having discussed marketing and various ways to promote shows, the assignment is for you to describe 2 ways to help promote each show. Right? So really, I'm looking for 8 different ideas, okay? Your description should be thorough and explain the method, time period, and budget needed to accomplish each marketing idea, okay? And then below that are some additional resources for, marketing and just some other things about audience development. All right. So this is due on Saturday. The items here is a production like a variety, something that's taking place online. There's Rent, pop-up performances on campus or around DC. So if you're not familiar with Rent the Musical, I would look it up on YouTube and catch some clips or watch the entire musical. And then you have the acting showcase due to COVID, which will be a filmed project. Then you have the dance concert, which will be an online streaming option. So with those 8 projects, how would you promote them, and which ideas would you offer for 2 per production? Okay, that is what you should do. Any questions about that assignment? Okay. Now, that assignment, again, is due on Saturday. So what we're going to do for Wednesday, the 8th, next Wednesday, we will meet in person, okay? Next Wednesday, the 8th, we will meet in person. That focus is going to be box office and front of house. We'll get to walk through the theater. You'll get to see the box office. You'll get to see both of the theater spaces, even if you have before. We'll kind of walk through what happens with box office, what happens with front of house, and then you'll have an assignment that is due on Saturday, the 11th. So that assignment opens up on Sunday. So again, on Monday, you can start reviewing the articles that are listed there for both of them. And you want to start prepping yourself to complete your assignment. We will meet on Wednesday. And for those who have the class Wednesday, Friday, you can use your Friday time to complete your assignment. Okay. And so that is what it will look like for next week. When we see each other on the 8th, we'll talk more about what the next, what the rest of September looks like. And we'll kind of go from there. Are there any questions? Okay, so I'll stop the recording here.